Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining with me for devotions. Be reminded in this day that neither will the Lord fail you, nor will He abandon you. Well, this morning I thought we would take a look at Isaiah chapter 3, verse 1. And this is a verse, I guess, that reminds me that moving out of seasons of life's blessings into seasons of trials and difficulties can be really tough. It's like having a proverbial bucket of cold water dumped on your head. It's both unwelcome and entirely unprepared for. We settle into seasons of life and seasons of blessing just so easily, and we become very comfortable there very quickly. So when life takes an unexpected turn, as it often does, it can be difficult to know how to cope and what to do. I've had seasons like this myself, and during one particularly challenging season, I recall the Lord telling me that He was removing the props from my life. He certainly was doing that as I was shaken, and there were things that I had to let go, things that I had been leaning on. And it was a painful season in many ways, but it was also an incredibly enlightening season as I learned more about myself and learn more about where I was putting my trust, as well as learning more about my relationship with God. You know, props are anything and everything that we have used or looked upon or depended upon instead of depending on the Lord. In the book of Isaiah, the prophet refers to props as being anything that supplies or supports. Let's read verse 1 together. Listen carefully. The Lord God of hosts is removing from Jerusalem and from Judah both supply and support, the whole supply of bread and the whole supply of water. Well, when our supplies and our supports are removed, it can feel like we're being punished in some way. I wonder if you've ever felt that way, that if maybe you thought, wow, times are so tough, am I being punished in some way? Well, nothing can be further from the truth. Rather, the removal of these props, these things in life that we come to depend on, is what drives us back to the true source of our security and where our true and stable supply can be found. King David in the Bible totally relates to this experience. In Psalm chapter 30, verses 6 and 7, he has this to say. When I was prosperous, I said, nothing can stop me now. Your favor, O Lord, made me as secure as a mountain. Then you turned away from me, and I was shattered. There was a time in his life when he was tempted to find his security and his supply in who he was and what he did and the position that he held and the connections, I guess, that he had made instead of God. And we can do that too when we begin to define ourselves by our accomplishments and achievements. And David says that God dealt with him for a moment by briefly turning away. This meant David experienced this sense of a distancing kind of coming into his relationship with the Lord. And feeling that distance reminded him of who was his source and who was his provision. In that time of stripping away, David used that time to refocus his attention on God, and he remembered the Lord, and he allowed God to guide him through that season of life and through those seasons of trial. Consequently, David was able to proclaim later in Psalm chapter 30, verse 11, these words, You have turned my mourning into joyful dancing. You have taken away my clothes of mourning and clothed me with joy. Well, I know from my own life experience that when it's all been said and done, Jesus is all that I need. Proverbs chapter 19, verse 23 reminds us of this. Fear of the Lord leads to life, bringing security and protection from harm. Well, friends, as you go into this day, be reminded that only our love for God and our reliance upon Him can offer us true security in a world that is ever changing, in a world where it seems the props are being removed daily. Let's put our focus back on the Lord, and let's remember that He is the true source. God bless you, and God be with you in this day. I'll see you next time.